How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So on this video, we're going to be going over some of the common issues on a 13 to 17 Honda Accord 2.4 liter. And I've already made a video on a V6 trim. So if you have a V6 and you want to look at that one, I'll have a link in the description down below. So this video is going to be good for somebody possibly in the market for one of these cars, or if you already own one and you want to see kind of some of the stuff you might encounter over the life of the car. Now this one has 347,000 miles, so it is a testament to Honda's reliability and just good product that it is. And it doesn't seem to have a used engine or transmission. Now the guy doesn't really service the car here, but he is servicing somewhere, because if not, then obviously it wouldn't be here with the original engine and transmission. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So this is 16 and under car. So 16, 17 had LED strips over here, so that is a common issue, and there was actually a warranty extension for those lights. Now this one, like I said, is pre-16, so not the case here, but if you do have the ones with the LED strip over here and they happen to go out, which is fairly common, there is a warranty extension for that, and that will be covered, but it is a common issue. The backup camera in the back simply stops working sometimes, so again, not a big deal. But obviously we've all been grown accustomed to using a backup camera, so if that happens to fail, not a huge deal, not a deal breaker, but it is something that we see pretty often, a couple times a week here at Honda, or at least at mine. The rotors, they warp fairly easily, and this is a problem, basically across the whole lineup for Honda and Acura. So the rotors are just undersized, and it happens more if you do a lot of city driving, which is his case here. He's an Uber or taxi or whatever the case may be. He has a lot of mileage, so as you can see, the rotors are fairly new. He's replaced them, and most likely he's had vibration issues. So again, not a deal breaker, but something that does happen. So these cars do have a recall depending on the year and the trim for the axles, and you simply just come in and get your axles replaced. They break at the damper. Even if you have aftermarket axles, we're still replacing them with brand new OEM axles. So that's not anything that's going to cost you any money or anything like that. We see this intake tube tear a lot over here, ends up either causing a stalling or a hesitation while trying to take off, or a check engine light. So if you happen to have any of those symptoms, that'd be my first place to look. And fairly cheap, fairly easy to do. Anybody could do this, and just take that out, replace it with a new one. If you have a check engine light, you clear it at that point. If not, then you're good to go. Water pumps on these, we have seen kind of a small history of them seizing. So what happens over time, they start to make noise, and over time the bearing starts to seize up, and eventually the water pump does seize, and the belt snaps off, and then you get stuck on the side of the road. So if you have like a higher pitched sound coming from the engine here, you want to get that looked at and addressed, because you don't want to get stuck on the side of the road. It usually comes at the most inconvenient time. You got to get it towed, and just going to cost you more money overall. Another thing is these engines, if you don't maintain them aggressively, and by aggressively I mean if you own one of these, or any Honda or Acura or any car for instance, get your oil changes done between 3,000 and 5,000 miles. These maintenance minders are not aggressive enough, and some of them will go up to 10,000 miles, which is ridiculous in my opinion. And what that does over time, the piston rings start to seize up, and they start to burn oil. So obviously that's an issue if you're keeping a car long term, because you're going to be spending time and money putting oil in it. It's going to run low on oil, the light's going to flash, and you're going to get a whole bunch of long-term issues. So if you bought one with very low miles, you're going to want to change your oil aggressively, 3,000 to 5,000 miles max. Or if you're buying one, generally overall, you're going to want to do the same procedures, and just be aggressive with the oil changes. It's better to spend a little bit more money than have to replace the engine down the road, or piston rings, whatever the case may be, if you wanted to get it rebuilt. None of those options are cheap. So another issue these cars have is a timing chain tensioner. It fails prematurely, and they cause a very similar noise to the old cars, the old pre-Earth-Dream engines, the 2.4 liters, which was a rattle on startup, and people mistake that for the VTC gear on this car, which is not the case. On this car, it ends up being a timing chain tensioner. It's a lot more simple of a job than doing a VTC gear. So if you are having a cold start rattle, then that's going to be your issue 9 out of 10 times, not the gear. But it is another issue nonetheless. Other than that, it seems to be that these cars are generally reliable. We've done a few transmissions, nothing crazy, nothing out of the norm. We've done a few engines. Like I said, most of them end up being because people don't maintain them properly and end up causing, you know, consumption issues of the engine oil. And at that point, you could either just top it off, or you're gonna have to do some major engine work, or replace the engine with a used one. So that's going to be about it for this video, guys. If I missed something, or if you had any other issues, there is other issues, but that is the most common stuff that I'm seeing here at my dealer, at least some starters as well. But again, if you're having any issues that I didn't mention, make sure you drop a comment down below, and like that we could talk about it. With that being said, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I'm doing videos just like this one, DIY tips, maintenance, all the above, and on any Honda and Acura that I come across, and common issues as well. There's always new stuff coming out, so make sure you guys do subscribe for sure. And once again, thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.